Hey guys, I want to show you how I built this chicken coop perfectly right from the get-go. Didn't make a single mistake along the way, cut every board exactly how I intended all the way through. It was a masterpiece. Just kidding. Actually, in this video, I would like to highlight many of my mistakes. Mistakes in the planning, in the building, in the measuring. Just so many mistakes throughout this video. But the point is, I was able to persevere and actually make the chicken coop that I really wanted to make. It just took taking the time to think about it, sleep on it in some cases, come back, revisit the project. It took several months to complete. What can I say? Maybe if you are doing a construction project, you'll be encouraged by this. Or if you've ever done a construction project that has just gone south, then be encouraged by my failure as well. In the end, this chicken coop was exactly what I had hoped for. It is an easy to use, accessible chicken coop. You can, access the waterers and the feeders and the collection boxes for the eggs, all from the outside of the coop. Very easy to use. So I hope you enjoy that. If you want to see a tour of this chicken coop, you can click the link in the description box and we have a video for that. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy this video. We started this project by purchasing all the lumber and hardware we need. You can see our cut list in the free PDF for the basic plans for this chicken coop. Just hit the link in the description box below. We carried all the pieces into our place of work and got started. There was a lot going on this day: dogs, kids, and other garden projects. We started off by reviewing my plans, which were updated and revised many times as the project continued. Then we began to assemble the frame. We started by building the nesting box wall frame. My dad helped a lot in getting exact measurements, holding pieces, etc. It really helps having a partner when you're doing a project like this. And just a general piece of advice: as you can see on the plans, there are exact measurements for each cut. However, it's always a good idea to make sure to measure every cut so that you know that your board is actually going to fit. Sometimes a board is slightly warped and that can affect the distance between the studs. Or maybe there's something else wonky that you couldn't foresee messing up your plan. Now, did I mention that I'm not exactly a professional? Here, I had this great idea to make the boards into a sort of pocket header connection. And whereas in theory, this perhaps may have been a good idea, in a much more real sense, this was a bad idea for several reasons. This is probably a good time to mention a lesson regarding any construction project. Don't be afraid to disassemble what you've built so that it actually works. So after taking a break, going home and sleeping on it, I just realized that all our other measurements were going to be more complicated and the whole build would be less stable. So we pulled out the top plates, we shaved off the pocket piece, laid it flush against the nesting box wall frame. We also removed the second stud from the nesting box wall and put it on the inside so that we could keep the whole coop exactly 4 feet by 8 feet. To do this, we had to take out the crossbar and cut it down to size to fit in between the inner studs. After we got the crossbeam back in, we cut the top part of the stud to size and added it back in. Now that we were ready to attach the side wall to the nesting box wall, we had to triple check to make sure the coop crossbeams and studs were in fact fully aligned. And it was at this point that we came to realize that no, they were not fully aligned. The chicken coop part of the coop run combo is exactly 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. We needed the bottom plates to line up. So took them out, recut some boards, and put them back in the right place. Now that we had the first wall attached, we decided to move it closer to its final resting place. However, it was then that we came to realize that I had previously dug out a foundation space for a slightly larger coop build. I had it in my mind months prior that this coop would be a bit bigger than it actually ended up being. Therefore, Cassidy got to work digging out our new foundation while we attached the run door wall frame. But before doing that, we had to do some remeasuring and, yes, removing of the bottom plates, shaving off some of the corner studs, and now we were ready to attach the run door wall frame. We went ahead and put it upright to make sure everything was sitting right, and after having the top and bottom plates in, we measured, cut, and installed the studs in the right wall. At this point, we were ready to get going on filling out the frame for the coop. I started by installing the bottom and top plates so that the door would fit into, and then I took measurements and installed the molding that the door would rest against. Once these boards were in, I measured out the frame of the coop door and pieced it together. Next, I placed the door in the frame to make sure it fit. By this time, we were finally ready to put the coop in place. We used large gravel rocks that we had from a previous garden project as a pseudo foundation, and we used 2x4s with a level to make sure that the area was relatively level. Then we just picked up the coop and set it down. Next, we added the inner corner studs and plates for the run door. Finally, after carefully measuring, cutting, and piecing together, we put the run door in to make sure it would fit and swing open. Then we checked to make sure our coop door fit in place, and of course it didn't. So we took it down, made the necessary adjustments to the molding, and having done that, we tried it again and it slid right into place. We furred out the stud where the hinges would attach since we forgot that the plywood added an extra ½ inch. And behold, the door swung open beautifully. To install the bolt for the door, we did the same thing by furring out the stud with a piece of plywood. Then we added in the floor beam for the coop, and having the frame mostly finished, we were ready to slap on some plywood. We started, of course, by taking measurements, and then we made our cuts. Our first one being the board for the floor of the coop. Then we attached the walls, and the roof. Finally, we cut out the spot for the nesting boxes. Next, we started framing out the studs that the nesting boxes would attach to. And now we were ready to start building the nesting boxes. We used 2x2s for most of the frame. For this, I made 2 identical walls and attached them to make a cube that we could attach to the coop. Next, I measured and cut a plywood divider that would sit between the 2 nesting boxes. Finally, I attached the top and bottom pieces, and then the sides and the hatch. Now at this point, we lost some of the footage, or maybe actually I just forgot to get footage of this part of the construction process. But needless to say, now that we've got the nesting boxes in, we went ahead and put in the bottom studs of the chicken coop. Don't know why we waited till now. We covered all the sides and the top of the run with 1-inch chicken wire. Then we went ahead and cut out a hole for the chicken feeders in the side of the coop, and in the other side, we cut out a hole for the waterers. For the feeders, we used 4-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe and these Y fixtures and a cap at the bottom. And this way you can top load the feeder and the chickens can stick their heads into the feeders and more feed will come out gradually as they eat it. You can see how this works in our coop tour video. For the waterers, we attached 2 5-gallon buckets with a small piece of 1-inch PVC so that you don't have to fill them up so often. From there, we ran a 1-inch PVC pipe down along the outside of the coop and run. We used T's to run the pipe into the coop and across. Then we did the same thing below the coop in the run. We attached chicken waterer cups to the pipe, 2 on the inside and 2 on the outside, and we made sure to use a lot of extra caulk to seal the edges where the cups attached so that they don't leak. Finally, we installed the last few things, a ramp for the chickens to walk down out of the coop into the run. Made this out of some scrap plywood. The roof, so that when it snows, it won't weigh down the flat top so much. And finally, we started out their bedding by tossing in a good amount of straw into the coop and run, so that the chicken poop has something to soak up the moisture. We also threw in some activated charcoal into the run and a few bigger chunks into the watering buckets to serve as a bit of a filter. And guys, that is exactly how I made this chicken coop with no hiccups. Only took us several months, maybe 20 or so redos in various places. It was a piece of cake. If I missed anything, made any other mistakes that I didn't mention in the video, please drop a comment and let me know. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.